Hey 71F, I have something exciting to tell you.
Ooh, what is it?
You're getting a new friend to play with today.
We are gonna have so much fun together.
That's right, it'll be a lot of fun. And it looks like it's delivered early, and it's the brand new Askar 91F. You two are so cute together. Huge thanks to Sharpstar Optics for sending me the 91F early so that I could play with it. I had the option to purchase it, and I did. So I paid for it, I own this telescope, and I did pay a little extra for the shipping and whatever illegal tariffs that were applied to it. Looking at what's inside the box, along with the telescope itself, the focuser screw, manual, and certificates, we have the camera adapters that give you access to both M54 and M48 threads. We also have a diagonal and two eyepieces, an 8mm and a 20mm eyepiece. I don't plan on using the scope for visual, and I already have the exact same eyepieces from the 71F, so I'll most likely be giving these away. That intro was inspired by my 2-year-old son. Watching him play and pretend with his toys made me want to play with mine. We just got back from a weekend trip from southern Vermont in World War III skies, and my son had the time of his life. Huge thanks to my friends George and Mary for letting us stay the weekend and enjoy their beautiful skies. If you'd like to support this channel and the work that I do, consider checking me out on Patreon and on Buy Me a Coffee. Going back to the telescope, I think that the 91F is the perfect telescope or perfect refractor for anyone who's looking for a medium-ish size refractor, or anyone who wants to upgrade from a small refractor to a slightly larger one. And I think it's also great for beginners just because it has every accessory included with it that we'll see very closely really soon, as well as you don't have to worry about things like back focus, which is usually a big pain for a lot of beginners that I usually deal with. But if you think the 91F is still too big for you, consider checking out my video of the 71F from last year after you're done with this video. And this video isn't a one-for-one comparison with the 71F in that we can't compare images that I've taken with them because I haven't had time to image the same things with the 91F as I did with the 71F, but I do plan on making a follow-up video where we do compare images. But in this video, we'll quickly go over the specs differences because I think that the 91F is a very natural upgrade for anyone who has a 71F or a 71F equivalent refractor and is looking to move up to a slightly larger refractor. So let's take a look at the specs really quickly. Quickly looking at the specs between the two telescopes, the Askar 71F has a 71mm versus the 91F's 91mm aperture, with a respective focal length of 490mm versus 609mm, making the 71F an f6.9 telescope, and the Askar 91F a 6.7 f6.7 telescope. Using the ASI 2600 MC Pro, which is an APS-C sensor, the field of view of the 71F comes roughly to about 2.75 degrees by 1.84 degrees, or a 3.3 degree diagonal, and the 91F gives you a narrower field of view at 2.21 degrees versus 1.48 degrees, or about 2.65 degree diagonal. The pixel scale of the 71F is 1.58 pixels per arc seconds, arc seconds per pixels. This is with a pixel size of 3.76 microns on the 2600 MC Pro, and the 91F gives me 1.27 arc seconds per pixel. The optical design for both of these are quadruplets with one ED element. The Askar 71F weighs 3 kilograms, feels pretty light, and the Askar 91F weighs a little over 4.5 kilograms, so it feels a lot heavier when you carry them side by side. The focuser travel of the 71F, as we saw, is 50 millimeters, but the 91F only goes out to 30 millimeters. For the most part, I haven't seen an issue with the focuser travel for either of these. Both of these include accessories such as the photographic adapters, giving you access to an M54 and M48 threads, 45 degree diagonal, and two eyepieces, along with the 230mm dovetail plate, and they both also come with a built-in camera angle rotator, a handlebar, and two finder bases. The Askar 71F does have a reducer, a 0.75x reducer. It works really well. The 91F currently does not have a reducer. I believe they'll probably make one. When the 71F came out, they said they're not sure. They're telling me the same thing with the 91F, but I'm hopeful that they will come with one. Because they have different focal ratios, you cannot use the 71F's reducer on the 91F's. It's just not going to work just because the light path is not the same. And the 71F costs $659. It was $600 to $599 when I purchased it a little over a year and a half ago. And the 91F currently is at $999. Getting a closer look at the telescope, it looks beautiful. In the front, we have the aluminum dust cap, and the glass in front looks really good. It's a triplet in the front and a flattening element in the back that we'll take a look at really soon. And from my experience, there has been no chromatic aberrations that I've been able to see through my images. The dew shield comes out quite a bit. It's another 86 millimeters from where it was, and it has black felt flocking on the inside to help with stray light. And the top of the dew shield has a locking knob, which is more helpful than you think. Getting a closer look at the rings on the dovetail plate, it has a standard Vixen plate and some really nice looking aluminum rings, and it feels really solid. The handlebar on top can now actually accommodate my fat fingers. Looks like they listened to my complaints about the 71F where the handlebar just didn't have enough space underneath for a grip. And of course the handlebar doubles as a finder saddle, and this is usually where I put my guide scope. So these parts are pretty much the same as the 71F. And it also comes with 2 finder saddles, which are super handy. Going down to the focuser, we have a coarse knob here, which we'll install an EAF, and on the other side we have a coarse and fine focuser. It's extremely smooth. The only thing to mention here is that this focuser only goes out to 30 millimeters compared to 50 millimeters on the 71F. So far, I haven't had any trouble achieving focus with either of these scopes. This also comes with a built-in camera angle adjuster. And in the back, we have a visual back with a 2-inch to 1.25-inch adapter with compression rings. We can take this off by screwing it off, and we can see the flattening element in the back. And then we can install the photographic adapters in the back pretty easily just by screwing them on. We can then remove the M54 to M48 adapter in the very back, and we get access to 2-inch threads to screw in a filter if you need to. And the M48 threads in the back allow us to attach the camera and other accessories. The whole thing is either aluminum or glass, and it feels really nice. It looks very similar to the 71F, just bigger. Attaching an EAF or an electronic automatic focuser is pretty standard. So we take off the coarse focuser to access the focuser shaft. Then we attach the shaft adapter to both the EAF and the focuser. So I already had mine pre-installed on the EAF already because I had it on my 71F, and I also have the bracket pre-installed. But you basically just line them up, you screw in the shaft adapter to the shaft itself so that it doesn't move, and then you align the mounting holes on the bottom of the bracket and just screw everything into place. I use my Ioptron IEAF, but the steps will be the same for other models. If you want a more in-depth video on how to install an EAF, I have a video on that as well. I took the 91F out 4 times in about 2 weeks since I got it, and every single time I've been super impressed with the scope. My first slide was actually during a live stream on this channel, so some of the first slide that I saw, some of you saw as well. It's also one of the reasons to subscribe to this channel because you never know when I could go live. Of course, it's really hard to plan live streams ahead of time, but I try to do it as often as I can. And then I had the pleasure of visiting my friend George's house in southern Vermont, who lives in Bortle 3 skies. And he has a 360 view of the sky, and it's the first time in my life where I felt like I could shoot whatever I wanted. So let's analyze those images now. Looking at some of the images I've captured with this so far, this is only a subset. And 2 of these images may be familiar to you if you joined my first live stream with the 91F. So this is M33 live stack. So this is maybe like 30 minutes of M33 taken with the 91F from my backyard. And this is live stacked in sharp cap, and you can see that even when it's live stacked, if you go all the way to the bottom corners, the stars are pinpoint, and there's so much detail here. And there's no processing done here. This is just straight out of what sharp cap spat out. And when you zoom into this, we can see even some like nebulae started to pop, so which is really interesting. So I did end up stacking this, and if you look at the final stacked version, this is unprocessed, just an auto stretch. We can see just how good M33 looks here. The nebula here looks really good. The outer regions here look really good. And again, the corners have perfect pinpoint stars from one corner to the other. And NGC 8669, 869, and 886 are the double cluster in Perseus is another favorite of mine, especially when I'm testing scopes. And we can see, again, sharp stars all the way through. And I'm really, really impressed with this. I did stack this. I didn't load it up into PixInsight, but it will be in the collage later on. And we'll start going into the Bortle 3 images I've taken. So this is the Helix Nebula. This is a single 120 second exposure, 2-minute exposure. We can see the Helix Nebula here. Looks really nice. Again, I'm just really looking at the stars. There's like no bloating here. I didn't use any filter, so it was just the UV IR cut glass that's on the 2600 MC Pro. Just looks really nice. And then when I stacked it, this is what it looks like. So this is just a stacked auto stretch, no processing done. We'll look at the processing in a minute, but you can see just how good this looks, how good the colors look. I'm just really impressed with this. And then we'll look at the Dark Shark Nebula. So this is a single. You can't really see much here, but the shark is here. This is the eye of the shark. This is a single panel. I ended up doing somewhat like a 1.5 panel that we'll see when we look at the stacked image. And while I'm here, I'm also going to actually open up ASTAP. So I have that exact image loaded up here in ASTAP, so we can do some kind of a sensor analysis and see what kind of details we get. So I'm just going to roll that down. And then I'll click on Tools, Image Inspection. So now if we look at the tilt of the sensor, you can see that there's barely any tilts. So the sensor things, tilt is 3%, so basically none. And I know it's mostly a function of the camera and its sensor and the tilter on front, but I didn't have to make any kind of adjustments to the telescope itself, so it gave me a really flat field. If we go back to image inspection, we can look at the aberration inspector, and this gives us a really nice view of all the corners and the center and the edges, and we can see that the stars are exactly pinpoint. And the last thing we can look at is the roundness of all the stars here. So if you look at the roundness here, we can see that the values are really small. There's one here. I think this might be like a double star, so it's starting to look blobby, but it's actually not blobby. You can look at the other values here. Just amazing. We'll go back to PixInsight, and I'll close this and look at the stacked version of the dark star. So this is what I'm talking about. I accidentally, on my second night, I shot that area, or the first night, but you can see the shark starts to appear more. The colors of the stars look really nice. The reflection nebula, the dark nebula. I'm just really impressed with this. And then when I process this, I'll look at that one first. So this is what it looks like. This is the final stack. So I cropped out the other panel, and this is what the Dark Shark Nebula looks like. The stars colors look great. I may have oversaturated some of the red ones, but it's okay. This corners still look good. You can see the reflection nebula, just the quality of the data that I was able to capture with the 91F in such a short period of time. So this is only 82 minutes of the Dark Shark Nebula from a Portal 3 sky, and I am just super duper impressed with this. I think the 71F probably could have gotten something similar, just a wider field of view. I'm just happy with this one. It's the first time I imaged the Dark Shark Nebula and the Helix Nebula. So if you look at the Helix Nebula, this is a final image. I had some bad flats here, but it's okay. You can see the colors of the nebula just came out so nicely. And this is only 72 minutes of the Helix Nebula. This has been on my list to image for a long time, and it looks really nice. You have some galaxies here. These probably would have looked a little bit blobby with the 71F, but the 91F looked really nice. So I kind of wish in the future Askar makes maybe a 111F or maybe a 121F, so I can get a little bit closer to nebulae like this and gets some more detail. But yeah, the quality of the image is just mind-blowing. Really, really great work to Sharpstar Optics and Askar for making something like this, affordable and just so nice. So far, all the images that you've seen were shot without filters, just the UV IR cut glass that comes default with my ASI 2600 MC Pro. But last night, I actually did have some clear skies, and I took some images with the SG220 dual narrowband filter, the 7nm version, not the brand new 3nm version. And so far, the images look great, but I haven't had enough time to collect as much data that I want. So I won't be able to show any of those to you today, but in a future video, I'll definitely share them. Talking more about the 91F, I think the optical quality on this is excellent. As we've seen through the images, we haven't seen any kind of star bloating or any kind of chromatic aberration that we were able to see. And as far as I know, they use the same type of glass as the 71F. And because I don't plan on using this for visual, I didn't do a visual test, but I'm assuming that if I were to look at the moon, there would be no chromatic aberrations, as I was able to not see with the 71F. I believe the build quality of the 91F is also excellent. It's all either aluminum or glass. The only bit of plastic is probably the little dampener ring thingy where the ring screws on, but that's about it. Most of it's just glass and I guess the felt flocking. And when it comes to portability, I would say that portability on this is good. It's 5 kilograms, about 11 pounds, so it's heavier than the 71F, especially when you carry them side by side. You can definitely feel the heavier weight of the 91F. It's also longer, so it doesn't actually fit any of the Apache cases that I usually get from Harbor Freight for my small telescope, so I can't fit into any of those. So I would have to either buy an external case or bag or something that I can carry this in, or when I'm traveling without family, I can strap it into the back seat. But what I did for my Vermont trip is I just put it back into the box that it was shipped in, and I took it with me. But what that means is that I can't have the EAF installed on it, I can't have any of the adapters installed on it because it fits just the OTA. It's definitely not the end of the world, and I can definitely get cases for it, but because of that, the portability isn't as high as the 71F. As of ease of use, I think that this is a super beginner-friendly telescope, mainly because all of the accessories that you'll ever need comes with it. So there's a handlebar, a couple of dovetail saddles. The back focus requirement is non-existent. And I don't plan on bringing this telescope to my star parties. I normally use an alt-az mount, such as my AZ GTI, which has a 5 kilogram limit. So putting this on there would be pushing that mount to the limit, and I really don't want to do that with a telescope like this. With all that said, I think that the 91F is an excellent telescope for beginners and experts alike. If you're an expert, you know what you need, you know what this telescope has, you know that it has everything that you would need to start imaging. And for beginners who are looking to get either their second refractor or even their first beginner refractor, the 91F has everything that you'll need to get started. So for example, you don't have to worry about adapters. I always joke that astrophotography is 90% adapters, and it's only half a joke because you have to keep buying adapters. But this comes with all the photographic adapters that you may ever need. It comes with a handlebar, a dovetail saddles, it comes with a dew shield with felt flocking, it comes with a camera angle adjuster, and by default it's a quadruplet, so there is no need to worry about back focus. And I think back focus is usually one of the things that trips up most beginners, because when they don't have that exactly correct with a triplet, they see egg-shaped stars going in different directions and they're like, what's happening? So with the quadruplet, no need to worry about back focus. You can attach a whole bunch of accessories to this. You don't have to worry about measuring things out. It's just going to be flat for you. And I think for that specific reason, it's great for beginners. It is pricier than the 71F, but $999 for a 91 millimeter f6.7 refractor quadruplet is still unheard of. If you go to the competitors, a telescope like this would be much more expensive. Funny story, I was actually in conversation with Sharpstar Optics to test out their Askar 107 PHQ. I was looking for a larger refractor, and I thought the PHQ series looked good. The 80mm was too small for me, or too close to the 71F, so I went for the 107 PHQ. But the day I was going to go pay for it, they announced the 91F, and I pressed the brakes and I reached out to the rep I was talking to. I said, hey, can I get the 91F instead? It's much cheaper than the 107 PHQ. Of course, the specs are different, and it's a smaller telescope in aperture and focal length, but the price was attractive, and since I have had experience with the 71F, I knew that I would love the 91F, and right now, no regrets. But eventually, I do want to upgrade to an even larger refractor. It would be great if Askar makes, maybe a 111F or a 121F. I would love to try that out. But in the meantime, I'm going to be eyeing either still the 107 PHQ or the 130 PHQ in the future, because remember, I still do have to pay for these. And with that said, two people actually reached out and asked if I can review the 140 Apo, which is a triplet. I looked at it, I was like, yeah, of course I want to test this. But again, money that I don't have to buy a whole new telescope, but I do want to try it one day. So if anyone from Sharpstar Optics is listening and watching this video, we should talk at some point. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that it was informative. I hope that I was able to answer the questions that you may have. But in case I didn't, please reach out to me in the comments below. Check out the Discord server for this channel. The invite link is in the description below. We have a growing community of astronomers and astrophotographers from all over the world, and we would love to have you. And if you'd like to support me and this channel, consider checking me out on Patreon and supporting me there. There is a free tier as well. Or check me out on Buy Me a Coffee. I've had that for a while, but I've only recently activated it. And thanks to all of my supporters. You'll see their names pop up at the end of this video. I really appreciate all of you. And thank you all for coming on this journey with me. Please enjoy a slideshow of some of the images that I've captured with the 91F over the last 2 weeks. Until next time, clear skies.